Folks, welcome back to the show. And this is one of the episodes where I talk to you, the viewers, talk about issues that's been in the news that's affecting everyone. And of course, we're going to touch upon the Ferguson issue. And a viewer asked me my thoughts on Ferguson, my thoughts on Mike Brown, my thoughts on what seems to be the spike in police brutality. And I guess my take on it veers off to the left, which you guys probably already assumed it would. I don't care about racism. I stopped paying attention to racism years ago. I basically don't even really I would go as far as to say that racism is an ideology. Like one's belief in God, one's belief that the earth is round. Some people just have a concept, a belief that's rooted in them. And when you force people to confront it, they usually dance around it. They usually say something they think you want to hear, and then go back to their private lives and practice exactly what they feel. So trying to convert someone from racism is like trying to tell a Christian not to believe in Jesus Christ. Having said that, you may ask me, so why does CNN and why does the mainstream press just focus on the issue of racism and race? Why do they basically focus on an issue, obviously, that it's so entrenched in certain people's psyche you can't fight it? Well, it's big business. The fact that racism sells in America, it's no secret. You know, I think CNN's Black in America series was one of its most watched. You know, productions like that kind of offend me because what is Black in America? It means that my experience as a black person can be summed up in an hour. You know, I think that's just another way for an establishment to control your view of someone. You know, having said that, I think my white peers, my Italian, my Latin peers, my Arabic peers, I think that we can all agree that there are some people with a sickness in their minds. And I think black people, we need to move beyond. How long will you keep asking someone to like you? It's like me, a grown man, begging another grown man, why don't you like me? I only focus on what I can control. And what I can control is the economic empowerment of my own people. Having said that, so in my opinion, there's no cure for racism. There is the cure, in my opinion, that will curb the ills plaguing Black America is that we do for ourselves. You know, you cannot exist. Imagine your entire existence fighting something that you have no control over and constantly reacting to something. So your entire life and reality is based on someone else's perception of you and hoping to gain their validation somehow. I look at the Ferguson issue. I've never seen or heard of a kid of an upper middle class, affluent background gunned down by police, white, black, red, or blue. In America, dollars make sense. In America, money is power. So much so that the cops in Ferguson knew that people despise the poor, so they released a video of this kid robbing so you could naturally hate it and basically justify his murder. So I say this. If in America to be poor is something that's despised, we'll safely assume that black and poor are synonymous. How do we curb that? You have the choice to patronize a black business. You have that choice. You have the choice to empower your community with your funds. You have the choice to say, you know what? My brother over here, my sister over here is starting a company. I'm going to go over there and build them from the ground up. Because when you economically empower yourself, a cop stops you, I put it this way. The kids in my neighborhood, black, white, green, or blue, they don't get harassed by the cops. The cop stops and asks, how are you doing? You think about the affluent black neighborhoods outside of Atlanta, outside of Maryland and DC. I've never heard of those kids getting gunned down. I think that the established way of thinking, these people that try to divide us, they keep focusing everything on race. When I think there's a lot of white people and people of different ethnic groups, they're sick of it. They're just as disgusted by basically Mike Brown being gunned down. I think that this whole concept that we're all divided and we all hate each other, I think that those in power, they keep feeding us these images because I like to say that this show, what I do, my demographic is those people in society that want to think for themselves. They don't want to be told anymore. They don't want a pundit telling them what they should think. They believe in truth. They believe in what makes sense. And what makes sense for Black America right now is to stop asking and begging people to do for themselves what they can do themselves. It's stop, I don't know, my rally and my protest is employing the homies, giving them a position to empower themselves. That's my rally and that's my protest. I think these leaders on your television screens, if there was not a race issue in America, if black people weren't suffering, they wouldn't have a job. They wouldn't have an identity. So why would they really curb the issues plaguing Black America? And Black America has a money problem. It doesn't have a race problem. And I think that if we're all honest with ourselves, I think even a lot of my white peers, a lot of my non-black peers, we all agree. But to even talk like this, oh, Peter, you're a liberal. I'm not a liberal. I'm not a conservative. I don't believe in labels. I believe in listening to something, identifying a situation that makes sense, makes the most possible sense. Well, for people that say, well, Peter, do you practice what you preach? Yes. For many of you that don't know, I wrote for Time magazine, Newsweek magazine. I published a critically acclaimed book, and I decided to leave the establishment. I have the utmost respect and pride for the media peers that fight the good fight, but their hands are tied. So I chose to step out and create a franchise to just speak truth. And to be honest, like I said, I'm going to practice what I preach. I started writing a column for the South Florida Times, which is a black newspaper. I think that I believe in furthering businesses catering to your community. So basically, I'm practicing what I preach. And I think that if you want to help Black America, when you see the kid in your neighborhood that's a little bit misled, stop and give him a job. Stop and point him to some employment. Or, have him come around. Just volunteer your time and services. Because, I repeat, how long are you going to keep marching? How long are you going to keep asking to be recognized as a man? I mean, your whole life passes by and you fought your whole life for your right to breathe, your right to live. Until next time, love and live.